Dr. Adriana Popescu here with another episode of Triumphing Over Trauma, our inspirational video series to help those who are struggling with life challenges. And I'm excited to have as my guest today Thayne Martin. He is the founder of itspurelove.com and the creator of ELAH, the Equation of Life and Abundant Happiness, a practical framework for mastering awareness, emotional balance, and intentional human behavior. His work is rooted in a powerful personal journey through severe trauma, mental health challenges, and a life-altering near-death experience that led to profound psychological integration and insight. And from that experience that he's going to talk with us about today, he's developed an emotional operating system designed to improve decision-making, relationships, and workplace culture. Welcome, Thayne.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
Yes, thank you so much for being willing to share your story with our audience and how you got to this incredible place you're in today, where you've been able to really triumph over your own trauma. So let's start there. What difficult things happened for you that led you to this point?
Yeah, my parents just happened to pick the wrong street to buy a house on. That's
Mm,
literally what happened. And sadly, when we picked that location, there were lots of children in that neighborhood. And a couple years after we moved in, a pedophile moved into that neighborhood and began grooming children, of which I sadly was one of them. So I ended up being routinely abused by a group of pedophiles that operated inside of my church. So I was actually abused in a place of worship where I should have been safe. I would get pulled away from the group and abused in locations in the building that only the janitor in the church had keys to. So when you're abused at a young age, multiple times like a little kid, you develop some strange conditions. One that I used to have is called dissociative identity disorder. And at one time I operated with 10 different personalities. I was also diagnosed bipolar 1 and severe ADHD and dissociative with a catatonic state. And I knew a lifetime of overmedication and addiction and madness. That was most of my life.
Now, how did you even begin to come out from all of that? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so for me, I actually had a near-death experience. I was swimming late at night. I had been given a prescription by a physician. I should never have been given that prescription, and I literally had a seizure from the medication, an allergic reaction to it while swimming, and I actually drowned that night. I drowned in the bottom of a pool. I ended up being saved, thankfully, after about a week in the hospital. Coming back out of that and getting my faculties back, something had significantly changed in me, and it was a desire to 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 heal, because I realized that I had been given an opportunity to come back and to live my life in a different way, and I had to do just that. And so I began a way of learning how to heal ourselves using neuroscience. And that leaning into neuroscience came from that near death experience, and specifically an understanding that all physical matter is governed by the same things. So the world is actually organized by math. That's how you describe how you get to the sun, how the sun how we rotate around the sun. It's all the language of math. So what if we were able to take the language of math and apply it to human energy, which is also physical matter? Okay,
Right.
so I wrote something called the Equation of Life and Abundant Happiness, and it uses mathematical principles as expressed to human emotion. And when you do it, it actually creates a very simplistic, easy way for anybody to learn how to balance the emotional energy in the moment. So it really goes like this. We add those things that bring forth goodness and joy. That's addition. We subtract those things that don't serve us, that don't bring joy, and we achieve what we call neutral balance. And that's our job, is to balance any situation in the present moment. What do I add right now? What do I subtract so that I can be emotionally stable at this immediate moment? Then, once we've stabilized in that moment, we then realize that we've got to start making movement. And that means we move to multiplication: add, subtract, multiply. Multiply is about growth. It's about engaging your own senses with that of the world around you, engaging the higher power if you believe in something like that, and putting forth action. And we take something and we grow it, it gets bigger. Well, what do we know when something gets bigger? The next operate over is division, which is when we take our expanded goodness and expanded abundance and we share it back with the people of which it came from. And if we do that, we reach the equal sign, which is gratitude. And gratitude is neuroscience. I have studied it extensively. And specifically, there's something called experiential gratitude, and something that we're now pioneering with my company. And it's my company is called It's Pure Love. And we are pioneering experiential neuroscience. And what we've learned is that there's actually 5 very distinct levers that I can pull in one exercise that will take a person, it'll identify the self limiting belief, it'll allow them to do it in a place of safety, it'll allow them to overcome that self limiting belief and write a new story right when the memory window is open. And we've used predictive mismatch in order to predict something that the brain did not predict correctly. That forces the brain to update that physiological experience with an updated new emotional memory. And it happens real time, it happens live by experiences. So, what's unique about what I've discovered is that you can integrate yourself, because I no longer have DID. I no longer have bipolar 1, not ADHD, and I don't dissociate in any way, shape, or form because I learned how to use this protocol to rewrite my subconscious mind. And that's literally what it's done. It's done through Hebbian learning, repetition, while experiencing the best emotions in the world: unconditional love and gratitude. So, everything that I work with is around unconditional love and gratitude because those are the best healers in neuroscience, and specifically experiencing them live. That's the difference between what I have learned and what I've created versus traditional programs where you just learn by reading and you might retain 10%. With what I teach, you learn by doing. So I'm actually going to have you go into a situation where you're in a safe space, it's public, but I'm going to put a little pressure on you because I want you to see, I want to see what happens when I put a little pressure and make you uncomfortable, because that's typically when the shadows start showing up, right? Once we know what that shadow is, then I give you a very easy way during that same exercise to overcome that shadow real time, right when it came up. And so, what you're able to do is literally within a short period of time, you can find the self limiting belief, experience the self limiting belief, and then write a new story for that self limiting belief. And because it's being done deliberately in a cadence sequence, it sticks. We have a 90% retention rate on what we teach because of the way that we teach. We all learn by doing, not reading. So my entire course is built upon doing. There's actually 101 exercises in my deck of cards that address 8 behavior modification systems. Things like courage, things like empathy, things like identity. Those are just some of the things that my cards are designed to teach, again, experientially. So that's kind of in a nutshell what my life is about, and what I'm doing at It's Pure Love is we are actually going to be taking this protocol and having studied clinically at a university, because the qualitative results that we're getting from this program are quite significant. And that's why we're going to move it to clinical trials. And eventually we'll be able to offer it to clinicians as well.
Wow, that's an amazing undertaking. What stands out for me, I mean, many things, but one thing that stands out for me that I think is so important for our audience to understand is that when you go through painful experiences like what you described, it fundamentally changes not just your biology, your neurology, your nervous system, all those things, but it changes the way you see yourself, the way you see the
Mhm.
world, right?
Mhm.
These beliefs,
Perspective.
the,
Yeah.
the limiting beliefs you talk about. People will come out of a painful experience thinking, I'm like permanently damaged from this. I'm broken.
Correct.
I will
That's what I
never heal.
believe.
I just heard that
Yes.
the other day. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I believe my entire life. Literally,
Right.
I spent 40 years of my life encumbered by this mental health illness from being abused as a child. 40 years of my life
Right.
have been encumbered by that.
So for the person who, doesn't yet see the light at the end of the tunnel that you have found, that I also through my own journey have discovered, when they're really in the thick of it, they're still in the pain, they're still in the re-experiencing of those painful experiences. They're still seeing themselves in this really negative way. They don't feel safe in the world. Like what would you offer that person, or what would you suggest to that person who's really in the darker place right now with it?
Yeah. So the first thing I train anybody is to start with awareness, because most people struggle because they can't stay present in their mind. And what I mean by that is we've all developed bad habits because we live in a world where we're constantly being distracted. And what I've noticed in working with people is almost every person I work with has a severe problem with distraction. They're not capable of staying in the present moment, focused on what it is they're supposed to be focusing. So I
Mhm.
start with awareness. And it's actually some of the simplest things to teach people is awareness training.
Mhm.
But that's really the beginning, because once you become aware, now you're able to grab what I call the 0.25 seconds, which is the amount of time that we have between when the amygdala will grab a stimulus and execute a program from the subconscious mind. It's literally 1/4 of a second.
Right.
So if I can teach you how to stay present in the moment, I can also teach you how to grab that 0.25 seconds, take the thought from the amygdala, transfer it to the prefrontal cortex, and then rationally make a different decision versus what the amygdala serves up from the subconscious mind. So awareness would be the first thing that I would tell anybody. And once you learn how to stay in the moment and out of your past, because that's something that I learned, was that I spent a lot of time in my brain, in my own thoughts, ruminating about this past that I couldn't change.
Right.
And then I would spend time obsessed with the future that I was trying to control. And what I was missing was the magic of the here and now,
Yes.
right? So that's what I focus on. So for anybody that's struggling, I want you to know that you can 100%, you can live an amazing, abundantly happy life today. I did not think that was possible for me. And I'm a walking example of it. I am abundant every day. I went from 7 pill boxes to zero. That's pretty amazing. 7 pill boxes to zero. And I haven't taken any medicine in almost 3 years now. So I'd say I learned something and it's pretty permanent.
How long, of course, everybody's trajectory is different, but I'm curious for you, how long was your healing process? And when you're working with people now with your course, typically,
Mhm.
what are you seeing in terms of length of time to really start, maybe not to fully heal? I think we're always in process with that, but
Oh, yeah. Amen on that one.
to start to see maybe a more significant change.
Yeah, so I did traditional therapy, right? I did EMDR, CBT, DBD, or DBT. I did that for decades. Okay, and I took a very amazing course in emotional intelligence that was helpful. But here's what I will tell you: in my course, because of the way that we're teaching, we are moving trauma rapidly. We're
Mm.
moving self-limiting beliefs rapidly because we're applying 5 levers in the same exercise. And the way that we do it, it allows for rapid neurobiological change in the brain. So for people in my course, you'll see a fundamental shift in who you are and how you're showing up in the world in as little as 2 weeks.
Wow, that's pretty
Yep.
incredible.
I
And
know, and I've got the qualitative results to back that up, doc.
yes, yes. Well, in this day and age, we definitely need to do some research on. I'm so glad that you're going to pursue more of that
That's
with university,
yep,
because evidence based is the big key phrase these days,
exactly,
to see
that's right.
the evidence
Yep,
that something works. Especially,
yep,
I think when we're dealing with people whose trust often has been broken, who
yes,
who don't, you're right, who don't feel safe, who don't know I think people in the midst of these experiences sometimes don't even know where to go, who to trust, who really can help them versus, unsavory characters who are not out there necessarily for people's best interest, and folks who've been abused have a tendency to draw in more
Yep,
abusers, right? Because they have those subconscious beliefs that I'm a victim, or um,
correct. Not good enough.
I'm not good enough, and
Mm,
people have power over me, so they kind of set
right.
themselves up to be
Yeah.
re-traumatized. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So, as we wind this down, I would love to hear from you, Thane. In what way? I mean, what does this phrase "triumphing over trauma" mean to you personally?
Triumphing over trauma means that I live a day without being encumbered by my past. And I never thought that I could live 24 hours, go through my day, and not be triggered by my past.
Mhm.
So, truly triumphing over trauma is when you can live your life exactly as you are,
Mhm.
and everything that was in your past is literally behind me. It's in the rear view mirror. It has value because it made me me, but it's not who I am today. It's behind me.
I love that. If people want to find out more about you and your work, where should they go?
My website, it's purelove.com.
Great. And we'll have the links in the description of this video. Thank you so much, Thane, for sharing
My
your
pleasure.
experiences and your program with us. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. If you have found this information helpful, please do subscribe to the channel, share this in a post, pass it on to someone who might need this information, and let's get this out there in the hands of the people who are seeking it. So, thanks,
Yes, sir.
everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye bye now.